The ultimatum. The starship Thunderchild hung in the void, dwarfed by the massive Crexian dreadnoughts that surrounded it. Its hull gleamed a dull silver under the distant starlight, bearing the scars of previous engagements, but still proudly displaying Earth's unified insignia. From the outside, it looked unremarkable. A mid-sized vessel barely a quarter the length of the smallest Crexian warship. Captain Mira Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display where the enemy fleet sprawled across space like a metal cancer. 26 capital ships, over 100 fighters, and the massive flagship Dominion looming at the center of the formation. A single human vessel against an armada designed to obliterate entire planetary defense systems. "They're hailing us again, Captain," Lieutenant Riza announced from communications, his voice steady despite the tension evident in his shoulders. Chen nodded once. "Put them through." The main view screen flickered, revealing the face of Admiral Thraz. If you could call it a face. The Crexian's skin was the color of burnished copper, stretched tight over a skull-like visage, with 6 dark eyes arranged in a hexagonal pattern. When he spoke, his mouth barely moved, but his voice thundered through the bridge. "Human Captain, your stubbornness grows tiresome. Your species has one final opportunity to surrender Earth and all colonial holdings to the Crexian Empire. Resist, and we will reduce your homeworld to ash." Chen's expression remained impassive as she studied the alien commander. The Crexians had arrived in Sol system 3 days ago, bypassing the outer defense grid through means still unknown to Earth intelligence. Their demands were simple: complete surrender or complete annihilation. "Admiral Thraz," Chen replied, her voice calm and measured. "Earth's position remains unchanged. We are a sovereign species with the right to exist. We will not surrender." A sound emerged from the Crexian commander, something between a hiss and a laugh. "And what do you intend to do, human? Your single ship against my fleet. The Thunderchild is known to us, an obsolete design with minimal offensive capabilities. What possible threat could you pose?" Chen didn't answer immediately. The Thunderchild was indeed classified as a light cruiser in Earth's defense fleet, but appearances could be deceiving. For 7 years, humanity had poured its collective genius into this single vessel, creating something the galaxy had never seen. "I'm offering you a chance to withdraw from Earth space, Admiral," Chen said finally. "Take your fleet and return to Crexian territory. This is the only warning you'll receive." Laughter erupted from the Crexian command staff visible behind Admiral Thraz. The Admiral himself leaned forward, his 6 eyes narrowing to slits. "Your species' arrogance is legendary, but this exceeds all accounts. 1 ship. You dare threaten an Imperial armada with 1 ship." His voice lowered to a growl. "You have 6 hours to transmit Earth's formal surrender. After that, we commence planetary bombardment, beginning with your most populated cities." The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the bridge in silence. Chen turned to face her crew, 15 of Earth's finest, each hand-selected for this mission. Their faces showed varying degrees of tension, but not one showed fear. Commander David West, her XO, approached with a tablet displaying updated calculations. "The Phantom drive is fully charged, Captain. All systems green across the board." Chen nodded, taking the tablet and studying the numbers. "And the Whisper array?" "Calibrated and ready. Dr. Okafor confirms all 7 nodes are synchronized." Chen handed the tablet back, a tight smile touching her lips. "Then it seems we're ready to make history, Commander." West hesitated. "Captain, are you certain about this? Once we engage, there's no turning back. If the system fails, then humanity falls." Chen finished for him. "But it won't fail. 6 years of testing, 3 successful field trials against automated targets. The technology works. Against drones and decommissioned ships," West pointed out. "Never against a live enemy fleet of this magnitude." Chen moved to the viewport, gazing out at the distant blue marble of Earth. Home to 11 billion souls, the cradle of human civilization. In 6 hours, those Crexian dreadnoughts would position themselves to rain death upon that fragile sphere unless the Thunderchild succeeded. The Crexians believe that superior size and numbers guarantee victory, she said quietly. It's why they've conquered 17 worlds in the past decade. No one could match their firepower, so no one could resist. She turned back to West. But we don't need to match their firepower. We just need to render it irrelevant. The commander nodded slowly. The crew is with you, Captain. All the way. Chen returned to her command chair, pressing the shipwide comm. All hands, this is the captain. In 5 minutes, we will engage the Crexian fleet. This is what the Thunderchild was built for. This is what we've trained for. Today, we defend Earth not just with our lives, but with human ingenuity. She paused. Battle stations. Throughout the ship, crew members moved with practiced efficiency to their positions. In engineering, Dr. Nia Okafor and her team made final adjustments to the revolutionary systems that made the Thunderchild unique. The ship's heart, the Phantom Drive, hummed with energy, its distinctive vibration resonating through the hull. Helm, take us toward the fleet, Chen ordered. Standard approach vector, conventional drives only. Lieutenant Kamiya's hands moved across the console. Aye, Captain. Conventional drives engaged. The Thunderchild began to move, accelerating slowly toward the waiting armada. On the tactical display, the Crexian vessels shifted formation, spreading out to create a killing field the human ship would have to navigate. They're targeting us, reported Tactical Officer Hudson, reading energy buildups in their forward batteries. Chen nodded. As expected, shields at maximum. Continue approach. Commander West moved to stand beside the captain's chair. They think we're on a suicide run. Let them think that, Chen replied. Perception is a weapon, Commander. Right now, Admiral Thraz sees a desperate last stand. One small ship against overwhelming odds. And in reality, Chen's eyes hardened. In reality, they've never faced anything like us. The distance closed rapidly. At 1 million kilometers, the first Crexian vessels opened fire. Streams of superheated plasma lanced through space, their trajectory bending slightly as they sought the Thunderchild's energy signature. Evasive pattern delta, Chen ordered calmly. Weapons, hold fire. The Thunderchild banked sharply, its conventional engines pushing to maximum as it weaved between the incoming salvos. A few glancing hits splashed against the shields, causing momentary flickers in the bridge lighting. Shields at 86%, Hudson called out. Minor damage to outer hull plating, sections 4 and 7. The ship shuddered as another volley caught its port side. Chen gripped her armrests but remained focused on the tactical display. They needed to penetrate deeper into the Crexian formation before activating the Phantom Drive. Distance to nearest capital ship, she asked. 300,000 kilometers in closing. Kamiya responded. Intercept in 47 seconds. Chen pressed a button on her chair. Dr. Okafor, status of the Phantom Drive. The chief engineer's voice came through clearly. Charged and ready, Captain. Whisper array fully synchronized. Field integrity at 99.8%. Stand by to engage on my mark. Chen watched as the distance continued to close. The Crexian fire intensified, dozens of energy weapons concentrating on the approaching human vessel. The Thunderchild's shields flared repeatedly as they absorbed and dispersed the incoming attacks. Shields down to 61%, Hudson reported. We can't take much more of this, Captain. The massive form of a Crexian cruiser filled the forward viewport now, its weapons ports glowing with charged energy as it prepared another barrage. Behind it, the rest of the fleet maneuvered to cut off any escape route. Chen's eyes narrowed. Now, Dr. Okafor, engage the Phantom Drive. Deep within the Thunderchild's core, the Phantom Drive activated. There was no visible change, no dramatic effect that could be seen from outside the ship. But throughout the vessel, the crew felt the distinctive shift, a momentary sensation like falling without moving, as if reality itself had hiccuped. On the bridge, the tactical display transformed. The red markers representing Crexian vessels remained in place, but now they appeared ghostly, less substantial. Phantom drive engage, Dr. Okafor confirmed. Phase shift complete. We are operating at 0.3 resonance with normal spacetime. Chen leaned forward. Helm, take us through the Crexian cruiser, directly through its command section. Lieutenant Kamiya hesitated for just a second before executing the order. The Thunderchild accelerated toward the massive alien vessel ahead, not around it, not over it, but directly at it. On the Crexian ships, confusion reigned. Their targeting systems suddenly could not maintain a lock on the human vessel. Energy weapons fired nonetheless, but the beams and plasma bolts passed harmlessly through space where the Thunderchild appeared to be, hitting nothing. The human ship reached the Crexian cruiser and, impossibly, passed directly through its hull as if neither vessel existed in the same dimension. The crew of the Thunderchild watched in awe as alien corridors, chambers, and crew members ghosted past them, visible but insubstantial, like projections. "My God," whispered Commander West. "It actually works." Chen allowed herself a small smile. The phantom drive shifts us partially out of phase with normal spacetime. To the Crexians, we're little more than a ghost, visible but untouchable. "And the whisper array?" asked Hudson. "That," Chen said as the Thunderchild emerged from the other side of the Crexian cruiser completely unharmed, "is what comes next." As the human vessel glided deeper into the heart of the enemy fleet, Admiral Fraz stared in disbelief at the sensor readings. Somehow, the primitive human vessel had passed through one of his cruisers without damage to either ship, a technological feat that should have been impossible. For the first time since the engagement began, doubt crept into the Crexian commander's mind. What exactly was the Thunderchild, and what else was it capable of? On the human vessel's bridge, Captain Chen gave the order that would change the course of the battle and history. "Dr. Okafor, power up the Whisper Array. Target the nearest 3 Crexian vessels." "Whisper Array powering up, Captain," the engineer responded. "Targeting solutions locked." Chen's voice was steady as she issued the command that would reveal humanity's true power to the galaxy. Fire. Silent thunder. The Whisper Array activated without sound, without light, without any external indication that a weapon had been fired. There was only a subtle vibration that ran through the Thunderchild's hull, felt rather than heard by his crew. In normal space, nothing appeared to happen for 3 full seconds. Then 3 Crexian vessels, a heavy cruiser and 2 destroyers, simply came apart. Not with dramatic explosions or fiery destruction, but with an eerie, silent dissolution. Hull plating, internal structures, crew members, all separated at the molecular level as the phase-shifted energy from the Whisper Array disrupted the very bonds holding matter together. Where proud warships had stood moments before, only expanding clouds of metallic dust remained, glittering briefly in the starlight before dispersing into the void. On the bridge of the Thunderchild, the tactical display updated, showing 3 enemy signatures winking out of existence. The crew's reactions were subdued, not celebratory but solemn. They knew what they had just witnessed. The deaths of thousands of Crexian crew members, lives ended in an instant without chance for surrender or escape. "Targets neutralized," Hudson reported quietly. "No survivors detected." Captain Chen nodded, her expression grave. The Whisper Array was a terrible weapon, perhaps the most terrible ever created by human hands. It attacked matter at the molecular level, severing atomic bonds by projecting a counterphase energy field that essentially convinced particles they shouldn't be connected anymore. No shields could block it because it didn't operate in normal spacetime. No armor could withstand it because it didn't attack the armor, but the very structure of its atoms. "Status of the Phantom Drive?" Chen asked. "Stable at 0.3 phase shift," Dr. Okafor reported from engineering. "We can maintain this state for approximately 2 hours before needing to recharge." "And the Whisper Array?" Recycling now. Ready to fire again in 40 seconds. The remaining Crexian vessels had frozen in place, their commanders clearly stunned by what they had just witnessed. After a moment of paralysis, they reacted with frantic energy. Ships breaking formation, weapons firing wildly into space where sensors indicated the Thunderchild might be. But their weapons passed harmlessly through the phase-shifted human vessel. The Thunderchild was a ghost among them, untouchable yet lethal. A transmission cut through the chaos, Admiral Fraz's voice distorted by what might have been fear. "What have you done? What technology is this?" Chen signaled for the communication to be put on speaker, but didn't activate the visual feed. Better for the Crexians not to see their faces right now. "This is what happens when you corner a species, Admiral," she replied, her voice level. "Humans have always been at our most innovative when our survival is threatened." "This is impossible," Fraz insisted. "No known civilization possesses phase shift technology of this sophistication. You're using prohibited weapons." "Prohibited by whom?" Chen countered. "The Galactic Council that refused Earth membership, the same council dominated by the Crexian Empire." She paused. "You gave us no choice but to develop our own means of defense." On the tactical display, the Crexian fleet was regrouping, capital ships forming a protective ring around the flagship Dominion. It wouldn't help them. "Whisper array recharge," Dr. Okafor announced. Chen studied the enemy formation. "Target the outer defensive ring. 5 ships at once." 5 targets. Commander West questioned quietly. "The array hasn't been tested beyond 3 simultaneous targets." "No time like the present, Commander," Chen replied, then added more softly, "If this works, it may convince them to withdraw without further bloodshed." The Whisper array hummed to life again, drawing enormous power from the Thunderchild's reactor core. The phase-shifted energy spread out in 5 distinct vectors, each targeting a different Crexian warship. 5 vessels disintegrated simultaneously, their matter dispersing into glittering clouds that quickly faded into the blackness of space. The remaining Crexian ships broke formation, panic evident in their chaotic movements. "Captain," Lieutenant Riza called from communications, "we're receiving surrender signals from 7 Crexian vessels." Chen's brow furrowed. This wasn't what she had expected. "Put me on an open channel to the entire fleet." When Riza nodded confirmation, she spoke clearly. "Crexian vessels, this is Captain Mira Chen of the Earth vessel Thunderchild. We recognize your surrender. Power down your weapons and engines, and await further instructions." A new transmission cut through, Admiral Fraz again, but his former arrogance had vanished. "This changes nothing, human. The Empire will send 100 fleets to avenge this treachery. You've only ensured Earth's complete destruction." The massive flagship Dominion began to move, its engines flaring as it accelerated away from the battlefield. Several remaining loyal vessels moved to protect its retreat. "They're attempting to withdraw," Hudson reported. "The Dominion appears to be preparing for a faster-than-light jump." Chen's hands tightened on her armrests. If Thraz escaped to report what he had witnessed here, the Crexian Empire would indeed send a larger force, perhaps too large even for the Thunderchild to defeat. They might also develop countermeasures against the phase shift technology. "Helm, intercept course for the Dominion," she ordered. "Maximum speed." The Thunderchild surged forward, still phase-shifted and immune to the desperate fire from the remaining Crexian warships. It closed rapidly on the retreating flagship. "Whisper array status?" Chen asked. "Recycling," Dr. Okafor replied. 90 seconds until ready." "The Dominion's engines are spooling up for FTL," Hudson warned. "They'll jump in approximately 60 seconds." Chen considered her options. They couldn't let Thraz escape, but the Whisper array wouldn't be ready in time. She needed another approach. "Dr. Okafor," she called, "what if we increased the Phantom Drive's phase shift to maximum and physically collided with the Dominion's engine section?" A moment of stunned silence followed before the engineer responded. "In theory, We could partially rematerialize inside their ship at a critical point. The phase interference would be catastrophic. But Captain, that's essentially a suicide maneuver. We've never tested anything like it. Would it work? Chen pressed. Yes, came the reluctant reply. But I can't guarantee we'd survive it. Chen exchanged glances with Commander West. His expression was grim but resolute. The mission is to protect Earth at all costs, he said quietly. Chen nodded and addressed the entire bridge crew. I won't order anyone to do this. If we're going to attempt this maneuver, it has to be unanimous. One by one, the officers voiced their agreement. There was fear in their eyes. They were human, after all. But determination overshadowed it. Helm, continue intercept course, Chen ordered. Dr. Okafor, prepare to increase phase shift to maximum on my mark. The distance closed rapidly between the two vessels. The Dominion's massive engines glowed with building energy as its FTL drive prepared to activate. 30 seconds to FTL capability, Hudson announced. Chen took a deep breath. Dr. Okafor, maximum phase shift now. The familiar sensation intensified as the Thunderchild shifted further out of normal spacetime. The ship felt less substantial somehow, as if reality itself had grown thin around them. Phase shift at maximum. Dr. Okafor confirmed, her voice tight with tension. Captain, we've never operated at this level. The ship's structural integrity may be compromised. Understood. Helm, set collision course with the Dominion's primary engine housing. Full speed. The Thunderchild accelerated toward the massive flagship, now just kilometers away. On the view screen, the Dominion's engine section loomed large. A complex arrangement of drive units surrounding a central core that pulsed with building energy. Impact in 10 seconds, Camille reported, her hand steady despite the danger. Chen opened the ship-wide comm one last time. All hands, brace for impact and prepare for emergency phase shift reversal. Whatever happens next, remember, you've saved Earth. The Thunderchild struck the Dominion's engine section at full speed, but struck wasn't precisely the right word. At maximum phase shift, the human vessel passed partially into the Crexian flagship while still existing partially in phase space. The effect was immediate and violent. Where the two ships overlapped, matter from both vessels attempted to occupy the same space simultaneously. Physics itself rebelled at the impossibility, releasing enormous energy in the process. The Thunderchild shuddered violently as alarms blared throughout the ship. On the bridge, consoles exploded in showers of sparks, and crew members were thrown from their stations despite safety restraints. Phase shift collapsing. Dr. Okafor shouted over the din. Emergency protocols engaged. Through the view screen, they witnessed the Dominion's massive engine section tearing itself apart from within. The disruption spread rapidly along the flagship's spine as critical systems failed catastrophically. Secondary explosions bloomed along its hull as power conduits overloaded. Reverse thruster, get us clear, Chen ordered, blood streaming from a cut on her forehead. The Thunderchild's engines fired desperately, pulling the damaged vessel away from the disintegrating Crexian flagship. The human ship tumbled through space, control temporarily lost as the phase shift collapsed completely. Multiple hull breaches, West reported, pulling himself back to his station. Emergency bulkheads holding. Reactor containment stable. On the tactical display, the Dominion continued to break apart. Its central core went critical, and a blinding flash of light temporarily overloaded the view screen. When the display cleared, only debris remained where the mighty flagship had been. Lieutenant Risa, nursing a broken arm, managed to check his console. Captain, the remaining Crexian vessels are standing down. They're all transmitting surrender signals. Chen sagged in her chair, exhaustion washing over her. Accept their surrender. Inform them to maintain position and await further instructions from Earth Command. She turned to Commander West. Damage report. West consulted his flickering display. We're hurt, but we'll live. Main power at 43%. Phantom drive offline. Dr. Okafor says the emitters are fried. Whisper array damaged but repairable. He looked up, a weary smile touching his lips. But we won, Captain. We actually won. Chen nodded slowly, looking around at her battered but unbowed crew. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the Crexian fleet has been neutralized, and we're accepting their surrender. Request medical ships and escort vessels to our position. As the message was sent, Chen released her restraints and stood carefully, moving to the viewport. Outside, the stars burned steadily against the blackness, indifferent to the battle that had just decided the fate of humanity. Scattered among them were the surrendered Crexian vessels and the glittering debris of those destroyed. Commander West joined her. Do you think they'll come back? The Crexians. Chen considered the question. Not soon. Not after this. She gestured toward the stars. We've been asking ourselves for centuries if we're alone in the universe. Now we know we're not. And the universe knows humanity isn't to be trifled with. Because of one ship, West mused. Because of the Thunder Child. Because we refuse to accept extinction, Chen corrected. Every species eventually faces its moment of truth, evolve or perish. Today was ours. Hours later, as Earth vessels arrived to secure the Crexian prisoners and assist the damaged Thunder Child, news of the victory spread across the planet. Celebrations erupted in cities worldwide as humanity realized it had not only survived, but prevailed against an overwhelming alien threat. In the ship's medical bay, Captain Chen allowed a medic to treat her injuries while reviewing the preliminary report for Earth Command. The cost had been high. 17 crew members injured, 3 critically, but not a single life lost. Against all odds, the Thunder Child had survived its trial by fire. The phase shift technology that had made their victory possible would transform humanity's place in the galaxy. Already, scientists on Earth were talking about applications beyond warfare. Exploration vessels that could pass through solid matter, medical devices that could phase through skin without incisions, transportation systems unconstrained by physical barriers. From the ruins of the Crexian threat would arise a new era for human innovation. A week later, the battered but proud Thunder Child limped back to Earth under its own power, escorted by a fleet of defense vessels. As they approached the blue-green planet, Lieutenant Kamiya spoke what everyone was thinking. They laughed at our ship, she said quietly. They won't be laughing anymore. Captain Chen nodded, gazing at the homeworld they had saved. No, she agreed. But neither should we. Victory brings responsibility, and the eyes of the galaxy are now upon us. As Earth grew larger in the viewport, Chen thought about the message they had sent to the stars. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. They would not surrender their right to exist, and any force that threatened them would face a species that had spent its entire history overcoming impossible odds. The stars had witnessed the silent thunder of humanity's defiance, and the galaxy would never be the same.